Let's see. Okay, YouTube says I'm live. Great. How's everyone doing today? This setup is low-key kind of janky. Let me see if I can change anything here. Oh, that's a thing. Oh, that's not a thing. Chat, there we go. Okay. Figured out how to use OBS. We're winning today. Everyone doing alright? What is OBS doing? Okay. Hey John, how's it doing? How's it going? I'm incapable of speaking for some reason, so it's gonna be a funny stream. It's gonna be a good time. So yeah, same as usual. It's gonna be the leetcode daily. And then first order of business on Kaleidoscope is reviewing the big code gen pile that I rapidly threw together at the end of last stream, because admittedly I think that's quite important to figure out what's happening. And then the other thing that I want to do is just get the debug output stuff done, and I think that should pretty much wrap up the Kaleidoscope compiler completely, actually. So I guess we'll get straight into this. Casual Cooper 90s, that's so valid. Oh, it's this problem. Oh, okay. Let's see how many people mention leetcode. 0 people, okay. Yeah, I remember seeing this on leetcode 150, but I never ended up doing it. The only thing I know is that you're supposed to use a bit set for this, but I'm not really sure what that looks like in C++, so we'll see what happens. This just needs to determine if it's valid. Okay. What is the best way to go about this? So each row must contain the digits, each column must contain the digits, and each of the subgrids. I guess that's fair enough. So how do we do this? So I guess we'll just start with the naive one-shot solution. Not even one-shot, just the standard way that I guess is unoptimized. What's your hottest tech take? Something white hot? Ooh. This is tough for me because I actually just don't have opinions in general. I feel like I should have more thoughts about just like technology. The most insane thing I can think of right now is just that like the C++ chain, like I guess like the big pile of packages that are being, or not even packages, the big pile of headers being added to the standard library in C++ is a little bit excessive. Like there's like a lot of stuff, and there's some like nice stuff, like this debugging one is useful. But then I was like linalg, and I'm like, why? SIMD was like a little bit like why for me. Like it all just feels like stuff that belongs belongs in like an external package of some sort. To call it like standard library feels a little bit excessive to me, arguably. Like maybe like, even if they like repackaged it into something called like extended library or something, I feel like I'd be a lot more, I guess like, it would make a lot more sense to me at a glance. What do you think of reflection? Reflection as in... Oh wait, I can do one pass on this, I think. Right? Metaprogramming reflection. I feel like I should know this. Think. Yeah, I haven't given it too much thought, at least. That's something I'd have to, I guess, form an opinion on still. Use your dip toes? Good to know. I will give it a look. Oh, I saw this interesting for loop thing in the LLVM docs yesterday, which was like e equals board dot size. So you declare the start and the end in the first part of the for loop. And I thought this was stupid at first, and then I thought about it, and I was like, honestly, it's not bad. So we're gonna try using this once. See what I end up feeling about this. My hot take might actually just be that, like, this is good. Let's see. I think I understand how this is supposed to be done. Int hybrid equals. We're gonna do some ugly math here. Let's do. How do we divide this? Int division. It seems the program can reflect on its own type / state / functions. Is there? Do you have like a concrete example that I could like look at maybe? I think that would make it easier for me to reason about. Truncates towards 0. Okay. Okay, so then we can do. We can do like something like this. So it'd be 0 0 0 1 1 1 2 2 2. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah, fair enough. Let me take a second to just take a more formal look at this. I feel like I read something about this being added in C++ 26, but I didn't understand it too much. We're back in this dock. This is not very... Let's see. Ugh. Okay, I mean... Let's see. What's happening here? This is hard to read. Okay. Huh. Alright. This reminds me of some like quasi-quote stuff I was messing around with at one point. Yeah, screw it, we'll look at Geeks for Geeks. I guess it could be like useful. It definitely... I feel like it's gonna make a little bit of a mess, but... I mean, it kind of... I feel like that's kind of just inevitable with any language developing. In Go, you typically cannot do things like list out the properties of a struct at runtime unless you use reflection. I see. You can also define a struct with variable property names. Okay. I feel like it could be useful. I can't immediately think of instances where this would be useful, but that's just because I haven't really like run. I think I still don't completely understand what's happening, and B, I haven't like run into instances where I know for a fact I would need something like this. But I mean, it seems fine enough. Like this feels more integral to a language feature than something like like the SIMD library. Controversial, yeah, I could see that. If like type systems are considered controversial, I'm not surprised that something like this would be as well. SIMD, C++ SIMD is this library. Everyone's favorite parallel architecture. Like this feels like it should be a library and not necessarily like integral language feature, at least at a glance. I assume there's like some real reasonable rationale to this, but at least when I like just at like a high level, if I like take a couple steps back, I'm like, why is this a standard library? I guess. But I don't know. This is like most definitely a very naive take, and I don't really know what I'm doing. What do you think of Zig? I think it's alright. I feel like people that say it's bad are trying to compare it to Rust when it's like comparing C and C++. Like they have different paradigms in mind, so I don't think it's really fair to make any sort of comparison. But like in a vacuum, I think it's fine, and apparently it has like really good cross-compiler support just because the primary maintainer just like does stuff. whereas Rust spends 2 years trying to figure out how to do things. Easy C interrupt without the need for header files is pretty cool, yeah. I think that is one of the things that makes me feel like it makes me feel like Zig is pretty neat. Again, I haven't written any Zig code, so I don't really think my opinion holds too much weight here. Let's see, how do I want to do this? I saw there was a C++ bit set class. That's not... Huh. Huh. Let's just do it the same way. Can you explain bit sets? I mean, I feel like it's reasonably self-explanatory, so like, it is literally a fixed size sequence of bits. So like, instead of having to, or I guess it's just like a space efficient way to hold, say, like a pile of booleans, I guess. Yeah, I think that is like roughly how I think about it, at least. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar enough with this, so instead of alleviating that problem right now, I'm just gonna use a vector. Yeah, funnily enough, I'm also not quite familiar with the edges around them. There is definitely like stuff that I'm missing. Ooh, wait. I feel like I should figure out how to use a bit set. This might be the time to figure this out. Yeah, there's some nice stuff in there. Count would be useful here. Yeah, let's give this a try. This shouldn't be that hard, surely. I imagine it's somewhat reasonable. So bit set of size 9, row. So that's initialized to 0. And then yeah, we can set something. So let's set, what do we set here? We set J. Do we set J? Is that what's happening here? What tech YouTubers do you watch? I mostly watch the Primogen. There's like the occasional Fireship video that shows up. there's the occasional Theo video that shows up, but Prime is pretty much a big one. There's also a lot of Sylvan Franklin because he is funny as hell. Yeah. he has his moments, but yeah. Casey I haven't seen a lot of actually for some reason. Oh, okay. This is fine. So let's... if row at j is... so if that's true, so that's set, then we return false. Let's see, how do I do this? Let's do int k equals grid num equals, let's do, what is happening here? Well, you have I divided by 3 times S3. So that's just I, and then plus j divided by 3. I think that's how we want to count this. Maybe I could just pre-allocate all of these even. Stood vector of bit set 9 rows. So this will be what? Rows. So we have size 9, I guess. Yeah. Is this a thing? Like initializing like this? It'd be, I hope this is a thing. Let's try this out. Return true just to test this. Casey probably the smartest guy on the platform, low-key. Video about software architecture is enlightened, the only unbreakable law. Interesting. Software will tend to look like the shape of organizations that build it. I guess that makes sense, yeah. I think that makes sense, at least intuitively, just from like business shaping the types of people that they hire and the way they view code, I guess. I guess like that seems fair enough. Oh, I should not have deleted everything inside of here. So let's do int grade equals. Okay, we need to do some cringe indexing here. Let's pull up paint.net. So we have, thanks paint.net. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this one is I and this is J. Or I guess I over 3 and then J over 3. Nice. This would be an arrow, not a... yeah. Let's see. How do I even index this? We have j over 3 times 3. Is that a no-op? No, that's not a no-op. We'll just do this for now. There has to be a less ugly way to do this. Plus I over 3. Yeah, okay. We'll index like that for now. It'll be fine. Did you watch the 2 programming language creators video with Ginger Bill and Jose Valim? No, I did not. How one-lineable is this? It's probably very one-lineable. Rows. So when J is... I is the row. Is this a thing? Yeah, row is I. And then we want to get... Row is I J. Or row, or calls J I. Or, alright, no, this is wrong. Int cur equals board ij. That's fine, surely. So this is cur equals j cur or so we have grids. Grid num. This is gross. And then now we set these. What does flip do? Does it return anything? No. Is there a way to like not have to double access this? I hope there's a way to avoid that. That'd be great. To flip, we can just set. And this is grids. There's probably going to be something like really funny here that I messed up. Okay, so that isn't a thing. Amateur mistake. Oh, wait. Is that cur? Yeah, okay. that, and this takes cur. Yeah, we're using bit sets for the first time. It's a good time. Hopefully this is good. Oh. What's going wrong here? Oh, okay. So this is where it's breaking. Okay, that seems sure, but am I calling set wrong? Pause. Greater than? Do these seem to be like unsigned? Eh? Okay, we're struggling here. Let's plop this here. Okay, so it is that one. Where's that I? Dot set. Do I need to like... Should I just use the bracket operator instead? That feels wrong. Let's just go back here. Dot set slash equals true. Oh, well, okay. That's pretty funny. This is good. Maybe? Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Oh, wait. Ah, this is a mess. Okay. So that's printing false. Is the math going wrong somewhere? Let's say you're looking at a code base for the first time, you start at main, and each class or function is a node. You can traverse nodes with go-to definition. Do you do DFS or BFS to understand as quickly as possible? I feel like I end up doing DFS because that lets me get context for what's happening each time, I guess. I think this should be I and this should be J. This gets something wrong still. I feel like I haven't gone into a code base to with the express intent of just like learning all of it as opposed to just like learning a bit of it at least. So it feels a little bit like maybe at like a high level I would probably try to do something BFSy, but it feels like it's really hard to understand like a single component of a code base through just like straight BFS. So why is this still wrong? I'm gonna pop the editorial. Oh, I lied, I can't pop the editorial. "27 conditions." Of 81. Oh, wait, I guess this kind of makes sense. Oh, okay, so we can get around we can skip the vector thing. Oh, because the empty ones are... Oh yeah, I forgot about the empty ones. Okay, I need to account for that then. This seems straightforward enough. So why did I make this an int? Char. I imagine that's what was causing a lot of my issues. So with that knowledge, I guess we could try this again. So if cur is a dot, and we continue. So then we have if rows of okay, I will look at this again just because I want to. Okay, so that is literally what I did. So it's I just didn't read the problem properly, which yeah, I guess fair enough. I should work on that. So let's take cur and then let's cur minus the value of 0, I guess. Why do we need to mod that? Oh. I see. That makes sense. Does that make sense? Yes, it does make sense. So we do need to mod that by 9. Other times I've done it, I've noticed that you can get really far away from main with the first DFS traversal, then you need to start mental context again. Yeah, that is kind of true. I feel like it's definitely less cut and dry than just like just bracketing it under DFS or BFS at least. It's more just like whatever makes sense for the task at hand. I curval. So we need calls j curval for rows, calls, and grids. We have I divided by 3 times 3 plus j over 3. Let's make this cleaner. Let's take grid and then curl. And then we set all these. So yeah, it seems like bitset is pretty much just like a hyper optimized I guess Boolean array. And this is slow. What's happening here? Oh, we can subtract 1. Wait, what? Wait. What am I doing? Hey Katzilla, how's it going? Okay, how did they index grid then? Let's see. Oh, wait, what? That's insane. I guess this gets optimized at compile time. That's kind of crazy. Okay, well, I'm glad I did it this way, yeah. Okay, well, yeah, enough of me complaining about the daily. Yeah, so that's that done. So now, I guess on last stream, I took a look at, and I guess got through all of the kaleidoscope tutorials stuff on lowering to, or I guess just generating object files. Let's pull this up again. Yeah. So we got through this whole pile. It was pretty quick though, and I didn't really fully understand what was happening, so I'm going to take a quick look at it again just to make sure that I'm kind of at least still at depth to some degree. Let's see, this went into this abomination of a file. Not that one, this one. Yeah, okay. So, okay, so we steal a target, we get the target triple. And this has a very specific form. This is how we get that. We need to initialize all of these targets. Yeah. And then we get a target properly. I still haven't thought of a better way to exit this other than just calling abort. I have no way of testing this though. I think I could test it down here even technically. Actually, let's try that. Let's pass it tests. that was peaceful. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna head back up here. Can we do something gross with the file name? How do we get this to fail? Yeah, I guess we can't really test this, huh? Let's just go up here, and then let's just call abort, and see what that does, I guess. Let's see what happens. Primogen has an interview with Latner. That's pretty cool. Mind dysfunctional programming during it? Yeah, fair enough. I could see that being an opinion he has. Like it just not matching what happens at the CPU level, or okay, aborts. Okay, so that does what we want it to, which is a very cursed thing. Okay, so we look up the target. Because it doesn't allow mutation, I see. That's actually, yeah, that seems reasonable enough. So we need target machine. So we have like this pile for that, or no, it's this pile. Yeah, I think a lot of functional languages get around the whole not allowing mutation thing by kind of just adding imperative programming in, which is like, it kind of like defeats the purpose. Oh, okay, I'm getting that confused. Yeah, that's an error on my part. Side effects. We love side effects. Okay. And then this is all pretty straightforward. It's just kind of funny to me that we use the legacy pass manager to vomit out object code. But yeah, I guess that's that section. Yeah. Let's do this. So now we get to add debug output to our kaleidoscope compiler. So what happens if something goes wrong though? How do you debug your program? Me personally, I just stick prints in, but I guess the correct thing to do would be to use a debugger. Source level debugging uses formatted data that helps the debugger translate from binary in the state of the machine back to the source that the programmer wrote. In LLVM, we generally use a format called dwarf. I should know this. Okay, I guess that's all I need to know for now, at least. Haskell does have a side effect of making you unemployed. That's yeah, that's unlucky. Short summary of this chapter is we'll go through the various things you have to add to a programming language to support debug info and how you translate that into dwarf. We can't debug via the JIT, so we need to compile a program that to something small and standalone. Okay. We'll see how much of this is applicable because I've kind of already separated that out. So yeah, we'll have a source file with a single program written in Kaleidoscope rather than the interactive JIT. Does involve a limitation that we can only have one top level command at a time. Yeah, that's fair enough. Here's a sample program. So it's fib and then fib. Sure. Ben, can you do a Haskell stream sometime? We'll see what happens. Stream with Aiden very likely will happen. We've got some ideas cooked up, but they're kind of sitting on the back burner. At latest, we might do funny stuff with Advent of Code, but we have some ideas for some stuff that we might tackle together at some point. Where did I go? I see. Okay. That's an interesting jump. Why is this a hard problem? Optimized code. Yeah, that's fair enough. So optimization makes keeping source locations more difficult. Passes should keep the source locations, but merge instructions only get to keep a single location. And move variables in ways that are optimized out. Shared, yeah, okay, fair enough. To avoid optimization. Emoji lang versus Haskell. that'd be interesting. There was some like really, if you read through the Advent of Code submissions threads on Reddit, there's some like really funny ones. Like someone was doing them in like Minecraft command block, which was really funny. There were some that were doing it in Vim script for some god awful reason. Yeah, it's just a whole lot of funny stuff to look at. Yeah. Okay. So we need to make main. This will be interesting to figure out how I architect around this. So we go to parser and go here. So JIT gets in on expr, and then where does this go? Oh, it is here. Yeah. So we can. So if JIT exists, then we can keep it as is. Otherwise, let's make it main. Then we don't need to change that because that's already separate. Okay, what do we want to do here? Disable all the optimization passes and the JIT. We don't need to worry about. We don't need to worry about getting rid of the JIT. We do need to get rid of optimization. Oh boy. Union should try and get pair program with Neovim working. Suppose you can do it with TMux. I think there was another plugin that also did that. For like live share. It was like this. It seemed interesting. I haven't like played around with it, but it might be interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's probably like a couple other there's a couple of other ones that could be worked with. What's this example? Oh, okay. At a glance, this looks quite nice. So, yeah, well, this might be something that we mess around with at some point. What's the cap? Not sure. So, that might be something in the cards, but we'll give it some time. Telecustom? Oh, interesting. Yeah, that could be useful. Unfortunately, I'm in like Notion land for now, so I don't really have a reason to switch, but I guess I just don't really take notes in classes to begin with. So it's hard for me to really find, I guess, a use for it. But that's definitely in the back pocket now. Let's see, handle extern. Right. This doesn't go in handle extern, this is my own thing. Yeah, we keep that because we don't care. Actually, we could just... Yeah, we could just even go in here. We can take a... just set debug up here. Part of me wants to make like proper flag parsing. I don't really want to, so I'm not going to. So let's do that. And then let's do that, and then we can do that. Life is good. It's a pretty funny way to deal with it, but that's fine. Small sub changes gets us to the point where it can compile down to an executable. I mean, pretty much done that. Let's build this. Let's see what it vomits out. Yeah, let's do that. And then let's clang. Does that work? Dash X. What? Do I option up again? Dash S. Oh, right, wait. I just realized. When I modified it last time, it was, I took out the thing that actually runs. Yeah. So we're gonna steal this again. Let's do that. And then fib of 10. Let's do that. There we go. That still doesn't work. What's happening here? Oh, right, I need to print it, right? Do I even need to print it? Let's let's throw in the extern at least. I was passing it in wrong, so we can just do this. I need to include whatchamacallit. We did this when I like assembled the really hacky script. Where did this live? It's in build, then in the CMake files output. Here, and then source, and then yeah, runtime. There we go. Okay, that's pretty neat. Yep. So this does run the output as intended. We can get rid of this mess. We keep this, and then yeah, we just call cling on this. We don't need any of that mess. We can do that. We can do. Let's remove a.out. Let's get rid of this thing. We can. Let's pass in tests. Test fib executable. Nice. Okay. So let's nuke that again, and then we're big chilling. Okay. So we go here. So the top level container for a section of code in Dwarf is a compile unit, whatever that means. This contains the type and function data for an individual translation unit. Read one file of source code. So the first thing we need to do is construct one for our fib.ks file. Sure. Hey Janine, how's it going? Chris Lattner also invented cling? Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's the C front end for LVM, so fair enough. Lights off? Yeah. I was lazy to turn them on. Similar to the IR builder class, we have a DI builder. That is short for Dwarf something builder? Doesn't really tell me anything. Oh, debug information. I see. Okay, that tells me a lot. Corresponds one-to-one similar to the IR builder and LVM IR, but with nicer names. Using it does require you to be familiar with Dwarf terminology. But if you read through the general documentation, it should be a little more clear. Okay. Yeah, I ain't reading all that right now. Construction for it takes a module. It's going to construct it shortly after we construct our module. We left it as a global static variable to make it a bit easier to use. Next, we're going to create a small container to cache some of our frequent data. The first will be our compile unit. Okay. We'll write a bit of code for one type, since we won't have to worry about multiple type expressions. Okay. is happening here? So this has a that, a that. It has a has a that. Oh, I see. Debug info. Okay, that makes some sense to me then. I'm being asked to check something real quick. 1 second. Okay. Lattner, Linus, and the dude who wrote Roller Coaster Tycoon in All Assembly are the round table. Yeah. They definitely seem like the goats. I don't think I can really match them, but one can hope. I guess it's not gonna stop me from trying, at least, to some degree. Like, imagine if Linus was like, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to write an operating system. Imagine what the world would be like now. You're the greatest man? No. I'm very much not. There's so much to learn, so little I know. Lots to do. Okay. Do we want to put this in LVM? This file I think I've just given up on making pretty. So we're gonna make that like Homer's back in that one meme. But where do we want to call this? We want to call it in run file input. Maybe I should look at the code reference, the code listing. DI builder. Yeah, that's another global, sure. Oh, this is a mess. Let's add the current debug info. Construct it. I think we just make this a else branch for this. So let's change this from run passes to debug. And let's stick an else here. We've got to change this then. So let's do setup debug. Set debug builder. Setup. Actually, no. Let's do that. Other way around. Debug setup. Naming things, the hardest part of any project. Okay, so let's go up here. Actually, yeah, this would go under here probably. Void debug setup. Okay, 34. Yeah, that's the right line. Let's paste that. Alright, what goes in here? Oh, we need to make the global. As if we didn't have enough globals. Is this used anywhere? What happens here? Why does this go in the Lexer again? I'm not really sure what's happening anymore. I don't know where to put this. Do you like beef? I think it depends on the beef. Like if you're talking about like the food, I think as long as it's like good quality, because like it feels bad eating like, it feels like ethically bad eating bad quality beef. If you're talking about like tea beef, like people beefing with each other, I think it's quite enjoyable. It's enjoyable to listen to. Pointer DI builder. As if this wasn't enough of a wall. Pointer of DI builder. Builder, I don't know. Sure, we're gonna go with this. Yeah, we need to throw this stuff in here. So builder equals make unique. What's happening here? Incomplete type. Do I need to import the header? Is that? Surely not. Surely it's not that. Okay, well I guess it is. That seems fair enough. What else do we throw into here? We need. This is not fun to read. Have you found a compiler role job yet? I'm still on the hunt. There's a couple of roles I've applied to, but they're already few and far in between, especially just at an intern level. So this series might be going for quite some time, but we'll see how it plays out. Where did this come from? That's where that came from. So then, where do I want to make this? I guess we'll just make a separate debug info. I don't know, debug. That seems a little bit messy. You should look up Bun. That guy was looking for runtime engineers. Interesting. Okay, I'll take a look. Maybe send a couple of cold messages. This sure looks tough. I can barely follow crafting characters. I mean, it's just like C++ slush for the most part. The docs are, well, docs, I suppose. What's CPP and H? CPP is like the source code files. So this is where like the C++ implementations live, where all the stuff that you would actually run through a compiler gets handled. And then H is a header, which is, I guess, what you include in these. So, I guess they're like, they're preprocessor directives, sort of. Yeah, take care, John. Take it easy. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, an example here is like, here we include the Lexer header file, and the idea is that we can use headers to, I guess, tell the compiler that like this code has been generated, it just lives somewhere else. So then we don't have to like include all of the contents of it like 30 times once per file. And instead we can just include it, we can just compile it once, and then we can take that code and then, and we can just tell, in other programs we can just be like, assume that the code defined in this header already exists, pretty much. I don't think I like explained that very perfectly, but that's like a rough idea of why headers are separated from source code files. There's some like other some other nuances, but that's like the high level idea. I'm kind of lazy, so I'm actually not gonna make these files, and we're gonna keep throwing things into this giant slush fire. Yeah, let's do that. 13, yeah, let's stick it here. I feel like I'm gonna regret this very quickly, but we will let this fester. And this is the last chapter anyway, so I don't really want to make it more maintainable. Do you think Python is easier to learn than C++? Because I'm doing both at the moment. I feel more at ease with C++. I think Python has a lower floor to entry because it's easier for someone newer. To, I guess, start writing code and then like debugging it. Whereas like with C++, you have to figure out what a compiler is first, and then you have to like install a bunch of other stuff. Whereas with Python, you just like install Python, and then the files are like. I also think the syntax of Python is a little bit more beginner friendly. And also debugging Python is a lot less miserable than debugging C++. I don't think it's bad to learn both. I think it's probably good to be comfortable with comfortable with at least one scripting language. So like something that isn't compiled, and then a compiled language like C++ or like Rust or Java. I guess Java fits a little in the middle. Python better for leetcode. Python's good for quick scripts as well. I think both of those are true. I've been doing leetcode in C++ recently just because I want to get more comfortable with it. But for the longest time, I did it in Python just because because my goal at that time was to get more comfortable with I guess like my primary learning goal of doing LeetCode was to become familiar with the problem solving and like the algorithms. But now I think like I have a decent foundation for that, so I can throw in some more like C++ practice. So working with things like string streams, or like today's problem, I use that as an opportunity to learn about bit sets, for instance. So I think as long as a language has decent data structure support and isn't like completely obscure, it should be largely fine for LeetCode/interviews. Yeah, it's pretty funny that JavaScript doesn't have a heap implementation, so that one's thrown out the window for interviews. Debug info. Did I even define it here? I guess I could throw this in the header. That'd be fair. So this is a DI compile unit. CU, sure. And then DI type. Double tie. Double tie. And this is KSD. What is KS supposed to stand for here? Kaleidoscope. That's what it's supposed to stand for. Is this a thing? Oh, that is a thing. Okay. Nice. Okay, so now we implement this in the body, or I guess in the source file. Yeah, we can put this here, I guess. So let's do DI type, debug, info, and this is get double tie. Making a metallic gauntlet at the moment, but it's 9 p.m. and don't plan on doing reshaping at night. Yeah, I can imagine that that's really loud. I remember seeing like this video of someone getting like their neighbors like calling the cops on them for like having a flamethrower outside, which was like on their own property, which is kind of funny. Good luck with your journey. Thank you. That means a lot. Are you writing a compiler? I am currently, I guess separately from what I'm currently doing here, I am working on a personal project that is a compiler. This, I guess, is technically a compiler, but I'm mostly like reusing LLVM's existing infrastructure and just writing a front end for it, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, if my neighbor was out at 2 a.m. every other night with a flamethrower just like burning snow, I would probably be a little bit concerned as well, to be fair, but it's like, so it goes, you know. So if this is double tie, so this exists, then we return it. Otherwise it doesn't exist, so oh, I named it differently. Dbuilder create basic type. So this is double. I don't know what the 64 represents. Oh, size. And then that thing. 64. So we take dwarf, DW8. DW8. Damn right it did. And then re-return. Well, that's the reason why I'm making the metallic gauntlet, so I don't burn myself down. Okay. Yeah, I mean, flamethrowers seem a little bit prone to accidents, so I imagine that is quite necessary. that goes there, and then we need to do this thing. How do we do this thing? We throw it in here. And I'll format it after. So let's format that so I don't cry. So we create compile unit. Oh boy, okay. So dwarf. This takes in dwarf lang C. Then that takes create file. This is a mess. I don't know what dot refers to here. And then this is just a bunch of magic numbers that I don't really know what's happening. So we'll see. We'll take a closer look later. My Mark 1 exploded in my hand, don't want that happening again. Yeah, that's tough. Did you learn C++ in university or on your own? I was introduced to it in college. In one of my intro classes, the first half of it was in C and the second half was in C++, and I didn't really pay too much attention. I'm also going to echo the sentiment that it's easier to learn on your own, I think. But then again, I'm also like not the type of person to really ask questions in class, so I can imagine that it varies a lot person to person at least. Hi, I just joined community college. What's your opinion on studying C++, Java, PHP, and SQL? I think a lot of it depends on what you want to do after you graduate. I think like that's like a pretty good set, and it covers the general range of languages that you would want to know. I think PHP might be a little bit on the outdated end. If you wanted to work with something more front-end compatible, I think looking at one of the like mainstream JavaScript front-end frameworks like React might be good to look at instead. But I don't think that's like a bad spread. I think that would be pretty good. And it's pretty easy to. I feel like once you get familiar with like a language / a framework in some realm, it's a lot easier to pick up the next one because you can kind of like explain it to yourself in context of everything there. Yeah, I think that's like my spiel. I don't think you need to like explicitly learn most of them unless I guess like let me take a step back. I think it's important to like spend some time at least becoming familiar with like certain language features, but I also think a lot of it you will kind of just like learn on your own. So I guess like it's not a bad idea to like try and strike a balance between like actively trying to learn things and just trying to learn it more passively, if that makes sense. There's a couple things to note here. While we're producing a compile unit for a language called Kaleidoscope, we use a language constant for C. That makes sense. Yeah, everyone loves C here. This ensures we can actually call functions from debugger and have them execute. Second, you'll see the fib cast in the call hard-coded value. Yeah, input file name. I guess I've done that. Need to finalize the debug information. Also, there's just no explanation for what this is. Maybe I should look this up. Oh, that's not helpful. Let's try that. Ha, okay. File name. So file name here is that directory, current directory, that makes sense. This is oh wait, that's okay, that's all in create file. So then we go back out to create compile unit. So ling, so we have C for the language. So that's the file there. Procure is kaleidoscope. Is optimized is false. So then we pass no flags and then return 0. Okay, that makes sense. So then we need to call finalize. Reasons are part of the underlying API. Make sure you do this near the end of main before you dump. Okay. Okay. So let's make another function here. Debug finalize. So let's do that. Let's put that here as well. And then we call it from here. So then debug, then we debug finalize. I can't spell, that's what's happening. Yeah, so that's like at least the setup side. So now we need to add function definitions and then source locations. And then so that gets like debug information for the functions encoded. So after that, then we need to encode variable information, and then that should be it pretty much. What kind of keyboard do you got? It's a Keychron V3, I think, and it has Gateron Oil Kings. What do you think is the most soft to say for PHP to get through that course? I think that's hard to gauge, I think, at least without knowing more about it. I think you kind of just have to like feel that out for yourself. I think it'll at least like it'll still be valuable to like at least know some of it, because I think a lot of the more modern frameworks at least strive to solve the problems that existed in PHP. So yeah, it is kind of one of those things where you kind of just have to deal with it, but I assume after that's done, then you don't really need to look too much more into it. I wouldn't go out of my way to like explicitly learn PHP for that, if at all possible, but like you should still at least like have an idea of what's going on, I guess, if that makes sense. I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a creator on TikTok that's making a robot from FNAF in his garage. That's definitely something. I've seen like, I guess I follow a lot of other creators that do make a lot of more mechanically geared things. So like Michael Reeves, Will Osman. There's some other guy that made like Firebender gauntlets, and that was like kind of cool. Do you say something else about being in uni? Yeah, I am currently in school, going into my 4th year. Gonna take a 5th year to get my master's. How are you using NeoVim on Windows? I'm using WSL. So it's pretty much like it's like Linux emulation in Windows. Usually I'd be on a Linux machine, but I don't have dual boot set up on my PC yet, unfortunately. And OBS is honestly better on Windows, which is a very surprising outcome that I found out about recently. Okay, we get to emit Dwarf. Yeah, so we've made DI builder. Corresponds 1-to-1, but with nicer names. Oh wait, I read that already. Functions. Set everything up, we can add function definitions. So let's go to AST, because that's where that lives. There we go. So we add a few lines of code to describe a context, in this case the file, and the actual definition of the function itself. What is happening here? So this giving us a DI file and asking the compile unit we created for the directory and file name. And then we use source locations of 0. Okay. Sure. Is this in the code listing as well? Yes, it is. Ah, I see. Okay, that fits in here. So that goes after creating a basic block. Okay, I see. So that all fits here. So VM DI file. We should, if there has to be a better way to set debug at least. We'll just do this for now. We'll just do this. So we'll just make this true for now, so I don't get yelled at. Am I importing the right stuff here? Yes, I am. Oh, I need to extern the stuff in here. Alright, did I extern it? No, I didn't. That's what I'm missing. Extern. Debug info, or that thing is externed. Anything else I'm missing? I think that's about it for that, yeah. Yeah, here we go. So dbuilder, create file. Get file name. And then we Git directory. What's going wrong here? I need to import the header. So that I can steal from here. Not from here. I can steal from here. So what were these other headers? Sure. I guess we can delete that, sure. Let's make these consistent real quick. Oh, did I steal the wrong one? Yeah, I did. Whoops. Oh, I need to clean that up. Where was this? It was in here. That's not the right one again. Here. I pasted over it. Okay, we're really struggling to navigate this, but this is fine. So, this file, we steal this line, go here, we paste over that. There we go. Oh, a lot should happen in chat. Yeah, honestly, going to classes in college, especially for computer science, it just feels generally very difficult to justify. Especially when, like, a lot of content you can kind of learn online anyway, and a lot of lectures are recorded depending on where you're at. It's definitely a bad habit, and one of my classes last quarter, I showed up twice to, and it was for the midterm and the final, but yeah, hopefully I end up going to more of my classes this upcoming quarter. We'll have to see how time permits and how my work ethic holds. I would not suggest skipping classes for reference. What is happening here? So that's the context. Unsigned. So line number 0, scope line 0. Oh, what is happening here? Let's make a subprogram. Function. Oh no. This is gonna be fun to read. What is P? P exists. I don't know what P is. I don't remember what P is. We pass in the string ref, unit, line number. We create function type. Where does that come from? We're struggling here. Does it exist up here? Surely it's in one of the headers. It is not. Type header? Context header? Is that what we need? No, we have that. Where does this come from? Big goals right now are really just to make many projects that advance more before going to grad. That's fair, yeah. I think that is where a lot of learning also comes from intrinsically. Yeah, I guess like small classes have a really big incentive to show up as well. It's definitely, like, you definitely get more, I guess, more out of smaller classes from my experience. I'm so lost. Where does this create function thing come from? Function, or call this f, right? Yeah. And this takes scope line. Why does this have so many parameters? I have no idea what's happening here. Subprogram SP flag definite. Sure. Why does this have so many parameters? Subprogram SP. Making projects is really fun. First big one was a 3D printed full robotic arm. Oh, that's fun. I guess one thing that could sway a decision is that like every company is secretly a software company in some way or another. So even if you don't like lean more into like the computer science side, I feel like some of the concepts are still reasonably important enough to know to, I guess, warrant spending some time on it. I have no idea what this thing is. I'm gonna get ChatGPT. So that's the scope, which it's defined. Okay, the function name. The linkage name, sure. The compilation unit it belongs to. The source line where it starts. Debug type signature. Oh yeah, I see. It's the function type. So does that live in dbuilder? DI builder. No. Where the scope begins. Prototyped flag and then definition flag. Okay. Biggest mistake was obviously not turning off the power. There's a reason that happened because there was a bolt that was stopping the resetting, so there was a lot of tension. Yeah. I see. That doesn't sound quite fun. Where does this come from? Did I make it above? No? Where is this coming from? Oh. Oh, come on. So let's get rid of this. Okay. I should have made a separate debug section, but I honestly don't really care enough to do that anymore. So let's create function type. Guess we can put it here. Is that the signature? Yeah, it is. Okay. So now let's throw it in here somewhere as well. This is just a mess. What is happening here? Metadata pointer size 8. I have no idea what this code does. Let's get the double type. I understand that much, I guess. So it's ELT? Something types. We add so push back double tie. Okay, and then E equals numbers. So let's just keep pushing it back, I guess. And then what is this? Getter create type or getter create type array. Sure. Yeah, that incident sounds like it would hurt a lot. I imagine robotics is also like somewhat insulated from just the whole AI shenanigans, at least. So that's also another reason that could be interesting. I have a friend in my workplace that said he majored as CS, but stopped at an associate's and gave up on the journey because he didn't like coding. That's fair enough, honestly. I feel like to be successful in like software proper, it takes a lot of heart to be willing to just deal with all of the boringness. Both in terms of like writing code sometimes because it can be dry, and in terms of like the job market because that is quite miserable. Okay, so we have this helper thing now. So that resolves now? No? I'm not sure, we'll do that. No, we'll not do that. We need to... Let's be consistent with this. Or at least be as consistent as possible. Yeah, I would definitely second the notion of looking into it more before switching immediately, at least. I think, like, it is, like, a pretty large... There's a pretty stark difference, at least. Okay, so where are we now? We did this. So now we have a subprogram that contains a reference cell. I see, okay. So we're like building this in parallel, I guess. I guess that kind of makes sense, roughly. Yeah, okay. So that holds all the function info. And then we need an accurate source location. So we need to add this? Okay. Okay, maybe I'll save most of this for next stream then. It looks like there's a lot of stuff to do here, and the debug pile seems to be just growing exponentially, so I'm probably going to take some time next stream to refactor that as well. Yeah, so let me commit this. So and then debug info. Yeah. So. Maybe places like Boston Dynamics don't require a Mechie degree if you work on software. That seems roughly right. I also imagine a lot of CS/computer engineering programs also have like some robotics specialty as well, so that could also be another place to look more at. But yeah, I think this is where I'm gonna call the stream today. I feel like the rest of this stuff doesn't really fit nicely in the time zone. Yeah, thank you all for watching. It's been a good stream. My LinkedIn and my GitHub are in the description, so make sure you follow me on GitHub and connect with me on LinkedIn. Make sure you like the VOD and sub to my channel. It really helps me out with the algorithm. And yeah, I'll schedule tomorrow's stream after I end the stream. Yeah. Take care, all. Thanks for showing up. Take it easy.